Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's episode 232 of the Audible Farm podcast, and this episode is brought to you by the Fort Dodge Fine Arts Association. Go to www.fdfineartsassociation.org and to find out more about what they do. They support all of the musicians, artists, entertainers, anything that's art. In a recent episode of FDT, we talked about how expansive their reach is. Even to the point of like culinary arts. I mean, they support everything. So go check it out. They help organize shows. They help organize the community to make sure that all the shows aren't on like the same day. You don't want to have like, all the theater groups doing all of their shows on one weekend. So they kind of help do things like that, or kind of help organize things around like the bigger shows that are going on in town. It's like, you might not want to compete with them, but maybe if you do an earlier show, people will come over, and they're really good about doing that kind of stuff, helping organize not just those types of things, but also helping people with the business end of a lot of it too, which, can be kind of, time consuming. So it's great to have something like that in our area. So go check them out, www.fdfineartsassociation.org. Check out their podcast, FDT, and check out their community calendar with lots of events on it. This week, I'm sitting down with Jordan Beem. I actually met Jordan, before we recorded this episode, just, a few weeks prior to this. I knew he existed. I'd seen him all over online. I finally caught him at what would be like an open mic night type jam kind of thing. And, conversed with him a little bit and got, we agreed to have him on the podcast and see what he was all about. And it's really kind of cool. Jordan does a lot of social media work. He's all over social media. So if you're looking for somebody that does a lot of good social media work, check out Jordan Beem's stuff online. Lots of followers, lots of content, always making stuff, always putting it online. And, that sometimes that's what it takes. So I hope you guys enjoy this one. I'm sitting down talking with Jordan Beem. We talk about all sorts of stuff, how he got started, biggest challenges, biggest hurdles, all the typical questions you would ask of somebody in an interview the first time they're around. And it's really fun. It's great to get to know people, and it's great to see what they're all about and what makes them tick. So this is a good one. It's episode 232 with Jordan Beem.
It's the Audible Farm Podcast with your host, Peter Stockdale.
Sitting down today, Jordan Beem.
Hey, man.
Never been on the podcast before. This is really cool.
Happy to be on.
Yeah,
absolutely,
it's
man.
Tons of fun. We're actually sitting down in Amigos in Fort Dodge right now.
Yep.
You're going to play a show here in like 3 hours.
Right in the corner across from where we're sitting right now.
Yeah.
About 3 hours from right now, yeah.
Right over there. That's where the music's going to happen. The magic is going to happen.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Okay. So, I don't really... you and I only basically first met 2 weeks ago. It was at Oh Goodies here in Fort Dodge. There was an open mic night type thing going on there, and you and I were like, oh. I mean, it took us a second, but we realized who each other were because we had messaged prior to that.
Yep.
But it makes me think I don't know a whole lot about you. So I go online, I do a little research. It seems like you're playing just about every night of the week. And so first and foremost, is this all you do?
Well, no. So I still have a full-time job, but we're playing 3 nights a week. It just looks like a lot because we do a lot of social media, right? But it is 3 nights a week, that's about average or a little above average for a lot of guys. But we're just busy. We're happy to be busy. I figure while we're young, we might as well be busy. So playing anywhere from 3 to sometimes 4 shows in a week plus the full-time job, it can be a lot, but it's fun. We enjoy it.
Yeah, I mean, you and I both know musicians where music's their only job, but we also know musicians that have full-time jobs, and it's one of those things when I look at people I play a decent amount of shows. I'd say I play maybe 60-ish shows a year, something like that.
Yeah.
But then there's people like you that are playing 100 plus probably. You know?
Oh yeah.
And I have a full-time job, and it makes me think if I'm this busy with a full-time job, how busy are you guys with a full-time job?
Yeah.
Playing twice as many shows as me. Plus, your name's on the banner. You're on the marquee, so you have to do all the booking.
Yeah.
You have to do
all the booking, all the creating of the events. I like to take full control of the promos and stuff,
Yeah.
So anything with promos, event making, booking, just you name it, I try to take it all over. So yeah, for sure, man.
That's wild. I mean, how about flyers? Are you doing all your flyers and everything else too?
Everything you see, for the most part, once or twice somebody else will make something, but for the most part, everything that you see is my own creation. So,
nice.
Yeah.
That's just really cool. It's one of those things a lot of people don't realize. You're not just out there writing music and playing music. You're also a digital, marketer. You're a content creator.
Yeah.
Do Do you ever think when you were like starting this that you're like, oh no, I'm gonna have to actually do all this ancillary stuff I never even really thought about?
I had no idea, but when I did figure that out, it changed everything. I think it's the most important thing for modern musicians. I mean, obviously, you have to be a good musician and play and practice your craft and get to a good level of it. But the most important thing is to be in the public eye. And I always say the most important thing you can do for, like, if you have a show at night, right? Just one show, let's say. Everybody should know that you're playing the show. The only option they have is to go or not, right? So that's kind of the goal. Yeah.
You know, that makes a lot of sense, because how many times have we all been like, what did you do this weekend? Oh, I went and saw this band at that place. And you're like, I didn't even know they were there.
Yeah.
You know, and that's exactly what you're saying. You got to promote enough to let people know that you're going to at least be there.
Yep. That's the biggest thing. As long as they know that you're going to be there, then their choice is to go or not, you know?
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. I've seen you playing up here in Fort Dodge quite a bit. Are you, like, what area are you from originally? Or, like, where's your, like, home base at for your shows?
Yeah, so I'm from Altoona, Iowa, which Southeast Polk Rams, 4-time back-to-back state champs. So that was huge. Just to give them a shout out. But I'm from Altoona, which is just close to Des Moines. It almost connects right into Des Moines there. But I get up here because I know, like, to Fort Dodge, because I know a lot of musicians like Scott, Kirkhart, you know, like Tank Anthony, Jesse Wilson, Jefferson Fospin.
Oh, for sure.
All those guys, Vino, everybody. The list goes on. Jeremy Ober. So, and I feel like Scott and Tank and them have just been really fun music peers and mentors, and they've helped me with stuff. And so they're always helping me get shows up here. And they, at first they helped me out a lot, and now I'm just kind of starting to play more and more. So here in Fort Dodge.
I can't remember if it was Scott said it in his interview or if he just told me in passing, but he's like, somebody you need to get on is Jordan Beem, because he does a lot of his own work with, like, social media. He's doing a lot of it, and there's I mean, that's one thing I don't like to, like, harp at people, but it seems like there's a lot of musicians who are really good that get a lot of bookings that have very minimal social media presence, and it's like, imagine what you could do if it was better, you know?
Yeah, it's so important. Like I said, man, it's what it does is it creates your brand, because social media is a lot of branding, you know. So you create a brand without even thinking about it. Basically, before you know it, especially if you have like a logo or something, before you know it, you promoted. Let's say you promoted 100 shows in a year. Well, you've created your brand, right?
Yeah.
Whereas if you're going to play shows, you might have a brand, but it's more so that, oh, I've seen him live, he's great. But then if the social media add that in there, it's like a full packaged, deal. So
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's one of those things. I was talking when I was telling you I did like some interviews with some high school kids talking about social media and things like that, and like what's the importance of having social media or a website or things like that, or is it really that important, And it makes me think, like you said, branding, things like that, having that presence out there. A lot of them said that, like, they'll look at somebody's social media first before even going to like a website or something like that, and that will tell them, is this person worth even going to the website? Is this person even worth going to something like that to even check out? So I would have to say, yeah, it's very important. I get it. It's arduous. It's boring. Nobody wants to sit down and make flyers for a whole night and schedule out events and do stuff, but it's part of the package,
It is part of it, and honestly, it's one of those things where it can get kind of addicting. Like once you get used to it, like now I'm kind of obsessed. Like I'll sit there and move a single line of font down by like a tiny little centimeter 3 or 4 times, and realize I just spent 20 minutes doing that. Like, you get kind of obsessed with little things like that. But you have to love your craft, and part of it is loving the things you don't want to do, right? And a lot of the time, I don't want to sit there on Facebook and make an event that's going to happen 2 months from now and send co-host requests and all these things. But it's mandatory in my mind that I've created that rule for myself. Make sure I'm making these events and stuff. So it's just a part of it, but you have to love every part of it, right? So.
Yeah. I mean, that makes me think you're talking about like sending out the co-host invites and things like that, like delving a little bit deeper than just making the event and calling it good.
Yep.
It's almost like just social media networking is what it is.
It's all
like
it is.
If they see it on my page, but I have like somebody else is like a co-host,
it's on their page too.
It's on their page too. Yep. So you have everybody at the venue plus everybody on your page both get to see it now.
That's the big thing.
Yeah.
And so a lot of people, like, I used to just make flyers and post that, and that's great. And then the venue and you can both post it. But having that event there, then you go to their page and here's their event page. here's the event that's going to happen. Like, it's right there, and it pops right up, and whoever's a co-host on it, it shows up on their page because they're involved. So
yeah, that makes me think, like, sometimes venues don't do the best at making events for stuff because maybe they don't necessarily have to. I guess, like, it's going to be busy regardless of whether or not we make a Facebook event, or we'll just make one 2 days before because whatever.
Yeah, no.
I mean, I get it, but it's
2 months before is kind of what I do, and like what I'll do is, because there used to be places that would make the events. There still are places that want to make the events. I just tell them, nope, I'll do it for you, because some places won't do it at all if you don't do it.
Yeah.
So I'll make the event, and right away I'll send them a message. Hey, I sent you a co-host request on Facebook. Can you please accept that request for me? Yep, we'll do it right now, and works out. So
I mean, that makes sense too, because like if you're going to have the events all on your page, it kind of looks nice where it's like Jordan Beem at this place, Jordan Beem at that place, whereas if like a venue made a thing, it's just like Saturday night's hotspot main event something featuring Jordan Beem, and then your name's at the very end. And maybe it gets cut off when the post shows the preview for the event or something, so they might not even know who's going to be there for sure if there wasn't, if the branding's not there and they don't know your logo or something 100%. Like that. So
no, I agree, man.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
Yep.
What kind of social media do you think has been like the most effective for you?
So around here it seems to be Facebook. It's been instrumental, and it's basically the only. It feels like I live half my life on Facebook. That's how people know where we're gonna be. I'm posting on there once a day at an absolute bare minimum. Instagram. I also do Instagram stories, and I post on Instagram as well. But around Iowa, it seems to have been Facebook and just posting events on there and making sure that's the promote. I've heard though, in other states like Arizona and places, I have buddies who play music. They said that no one does Facebook there, and it's all Instagram. So it depends on your demographic. But for Iowa, it's Facebook, 100%.
Yeah, I think it's like an age thing. So like if you're like 20 or younger, it's TikTok. But like 20 to 40 is Instagram, and then 40 and up is Facebook. But like we live in the Midwest where the majority of people are older people, so that's just what we have because that's what most people are on.
100%. And I've talked to somebody today, Marco. He works with Tank, but I talked to Marco today, just about TikTok. And I'm not good. I post at least usually one TikTok a week, if not every 2 weeks. But Marco and Tank have been focusing on that right now, and I'm going to start doing that. I've been kind of bad with my TikTok game, so I'm going to start getting into my TikTok game a little bit better, posting more videos, stuff like that. So.
Yeah, I started recently. Like I do a lot of marketing, things like that. I work at a marketing company here in Fort Dodge, so that's one thing I've been doing a lot of is posting on TikTok. And I've noticed that if you just take like clips of things and slam it in there with a bunch of hashtags, it doesn't always do the best. You got to kind of actually make something somebody's gonna grab their attention right away and make them watch. So like. Let's say you go, like, you make a bunch of, like, my thing is podcasts. So if I make a podcast and I make a bunch of reels using some AI tool or something like that, they all look great, but maybe TikTok's algorithm might not be, they might be like, this isn't what we're looking for. So you kind of have to tailor it from one to the next, which is, when you start doing social media, it's just like, all right, I made the post, it's on Facebook, I'll copy paste it, we'll put it on Twitter, we'll copy paste it, we'll put it on, whatever, LinkedIn and everything else. But at the same time, it's like that copy-paste doesn't always work.
Yeah, it doesn't. And, I've noticed every video I've posted on TikTok that's been kind of like higher quality, like whether it be a higher quality video of me singing or just like maybe a videographer did a music video for me kind of thing, like at a live show. Those posts always get almost triple the views because the higher quality of the content. I think on TikTok, the more official something looks, the more people are like, oh my gosh, I want to watch this, versus just like a video, unless it's something crazy like a dude falling off a bar stool or whatever that. But I truly think that the higher quality of the content, the more views it gets for the most part. So
that's been something I've been actually like looking to like want to get into a little bit more is. I don't have a band. Like I'm not a band. I am not. There's no Peter Stockdale and his band kind of thing. I just play with other people usually. So I don't have any content of my own to manipulate and do stuff with. But I've always been kind of like curious as to like I wonder what I could do with, taking what I've done with podcasts and marketing for companies. Well, how could I translate that to bands and what would it look like? And I've talked a little bit to Scott Kirkhart about it. I might actually take some of the stuff Scott has and kind of throw it in a can and spin it around and see what I can come up with.
Yeah.
Just to test it. Because like you said, it kind of gets to be addicting. You're just like, I kind of want to see how good of content I can create now, almost.
It's awesome. And when you do create like a really good poster, like, and put it on an event cover on Facebook, and you see it out there, it looks good, you're like, that's cool. You actually did create something. And it just gives you that even more like excitement for every show. Like, oh, I'm going to the show. It's got this many people interested. And that's the other part of it that people don't really think as much about. But let's say I'm going to play a show and the interested number on Facebook grew all the way to 250 interested on Facebook. Mm-hmm. Well, that almost always I've found translates to somewhere around like 40 to 55% of the people who say they're interested might come to the show, depending on the person and the place. But let's say there's 250 interested, that means we could get 100 or more people at the show, you know? So those numbers, you can really start to like hone down, okay, this show tonight's going to be a crazy one. We got to be ready to go.
Yeah.
Or this show tonight, maybe not. Maybe we need to push it more. Maybe we need to, select, there's certain shows where I might do a Facebook, paid little promotion or whatever.
Yeah.
Do that, push it to a certain demographic. Once in a while, I don't do it very often, but if there's ever like really low numbers on it, I push it harder because I know I'm like, something's off here. So it helps my brain realize, okay, I'm not just shooting in the dark here. I'm not just posting it and hoping people come. I'm posting it and seeing, there's not enough interested. Let's push it. Let's push it. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
I mean, that makes a lot of sense. In a recent podcast, I was talking with somebody. We were talking about how, like, as musicians, like, we're there to like entertain people, but we also have like an obligation to the bar, kind of to like fill it and to
100%.
Have people here that are buying drinks. I mean, that's in essence, that's basically all we are. Is we're just like jesters selling drinks for the bar. Just
like back in the old. I mean, we're bards, like we're in the corner. We're playing the tunes to keep the people happy, and that's what we do. Now, there's two sides to that. Like, obviously, the bar, you want them to treat you well and be kind, but that's your job. At the end of the day, it's a relationship. It's a partnership. Some places you go play, you're trying to sell tickets, and that's a different thing. But a bar, it's a partnership.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's like we do have obligations to one another. I mean, like, yeah, we want to get paid, but at the same time, like, did we do our job to help them get paid too?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a symbiotic relationship. There might be people here who would have come regardless, but there's people here who came because you're here, or whoever, Jesse or Scott or whoever, it might happen to be. I mean, that's definitely something I think maybe not enough people think about.
It's important, man. It's important to like. You got to think of everything in because this is a business at the end of the day. You're a business. Obviously, being a musician is different because it's an art, but it's also, there's the business side of it, right? So it's a partnership. You're going to a place to help them sell whatever they're selling, bring people in, have fun with it, and make it, at the end of the night, the goal is to make sure you leave, the bar's happy, you're happy. Even, let's say, maybe you didn't have as many people, but you killed the crowd. Yep. Or maybe you did have all those people, and you killed the crowd, and the bar's happy, and they made their money. And so there's a lot of things that go into it, and you just want to make sure that, especially when you're playing a local bar, right, or a local place that needs business. Like, you want to make sure you're taking care of them.
Absolutely.
So, yeah.
So how long have you been playing music then? Let me ask you that, because like I said, this podcast hadn't been around for like 2 years, and I'm not 100% sure if you were around back then, but I also by the time the podcast was ending, I didn't have my finger on the pulse as much as I did, prior. But how long have you been playing music and playing live?
So I've been playing live for since so in high school I played back in 2010 to 2013, and then I went to play college football at Simpson College.
Oh, cool.
So I kind of took a step back. I play a few shows in the summer, a little bit here and there, but not, nothing crazy. Maybe, I don't know, 10, 15 shows a year, maybe, maybe 20, maybe. But
what position did you play?
Running back.
Running back. Makes sense.
It's a little shorter,
This guy's fast
and short. But when I got and 40 pounds ago. But when I got out of football, I was like, man, like, I'm kind of. I'm going to go work and do whatever. I was going to teach, and then I wasn't, and then I was going to work, and then I'm like, man, I got to get back to that singing again, man, because it was kind of how people knew me from my hometown. They're like, oh, that's the singer. So I'm like, why not do something with it, and work hard and try to push it, right? So in 2017, I just went full bore, and then again about after COVID, I switched another gear on and then started like really amping up the promotion and working on my craft and booking more gigs. And so, you know, I've probably been playing music for 10-ish years, maybe longer than that, but really taking it seriously probably since about 2017.
Nice.
Maybe
That's
a little
cool.
later. Yeah.
Well, you can tell it's paying off. You know, like if you just go to like we were talking earlier, Facebook, like you're definitely one of those people. What do you got? Like 2,000-ish followers, something like that, or
yeah, I think the Facebook page, like our music page, is up to 8,000 now.
Jeez.
Yep. So it's 8,000 on the music page. I don't know what it is. Like, so I have my regular Facebook and then my music page. So yeah, but Instagram is like 2 something though.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. You go look at numbers like that, and it's like this. It makes it feel official. You know, it's. Grant, if you only have 1,000, it's not like you're not doing good.
Oh yeah, no,
but
it doesn't matter, man. Yeah,
but it, you know, when you do see, like, I'm just gonna throw out like the pork tornadoes or something like that, where it's like 30,000 followers, like that's serious business there, you know.
Well, Royce Johns, have you had him on before? He's got, I think, on Facebook, he's a local Iowa artist, 30,000, I think it is.
Woo!
Something like that. I mean, Royce, I don't know. I'm probably wrong. It's probably more now, but it's that dude's a legend, by the way. You got to get Royce on the podcast.
All right,
he's in my opinion, like, he's my favorite Iowa art. My favorite, I should say.
Okay, yeah.
Like, me and my girlfriend are genuine, like, fans. We listen to all of Royce's stuff. We listen to a lot, actually. We listen to Scott's stuff, too. We listen to Jesse's stuff. We listen to Cody Hicks, if you know Cody.
Yep.
We listen to all their stuff, so.
I think me and Jesse opened up for Cody at a show somewhere, maybe
Did you?
once.
Cody's a good dude.
Yeah, definitely. If I'm thinking of the right show, I'm pretty sure it rained at that show.
Yeah.
And it was an outdoor show.
Oh, boy.
And it was rough there for a little bit. We were just like throwing stuff like literally almost just like picking up, you know, thousands of dollars worth of equipment and
Putting it under stuff?
just throwing it under stuff just to get it out of the rain. It was if I'm thinking of the right person at the right show, but yeah, that was.
I've been there before, dude.
Yeah,
it's the worst, but it's a, you know, this year we did that same thing. We were playing, it was a packed rodeo, because we play a lot, like, we like rodeos, so we do that a lot.
Oh, yeah.
And it was a big, busy rodeo, and it started pouring rain, and it cleared out, and then we moved to like a smaller shelter. But God, it stinks when the rain ruins everything.
Yeah, I mean, like you said though, it is kind of fun though, because once everybody gets back, they're ready for the music to start again. You know, even if it is raining, they're like, all right, you're inside now, cool, we're coming inside. Where's the beer? Let's do this. You know?
Yeah, dude. Oh yeah, it's fun. Sometimes weather can make or break it. In some ways, like tonight, actually, ironically, it's going to have an ice storm, I've heard.
Yep.
So I'm like, how am I going to get home? What am I going to do? But hey, we're here to play music, baby. That's what's up, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I know a few people who did cancel their shows, and I was wondering that when we scheduled this out, it was like, we'll see what happens on Friday and talk about it. And then last night it was just like, what are we doing?
Well, my thought, like, okay, so every time I've ever canceled a show because of weather, it's because of other people have told me, like, you should cancel the show. Like, you need to take care of yourself. But if it were me, dude, I'd be there. You know, I like to do. I'm a workhorse, man. I like to be places. I like to go play the show. Rain, sleet, bad throat. Like, I'm sick today, really bad.
Yep.
Like, I just like to be out, to be working. And I'll tell people, like, hey, I'm sick tonight, but I'm here for you guys. Let's party. You know, like, it's just fun.
And I think that's the stuff like that's like crowd control type stuff. Like interacting with the people that you're entertaining is something. I always looked up to Scott Kirkhart for doing that, because he could like finish a song and then be like, how are we all doing tonight? You know, and everyone's just going nuts, and it's like, we need that. You know, you could just go song to song to song and everyone could love it, but that's something special when you know, even like you said, even if you're sick, you're just like, well, I'm not feeling the best today, but I'm here for you guys, and everyone's like, he is.
Dude, so it's our like, I think that's, I learned from Scott, and I learned from another guy named Joe Inman in Des Moines, but crowd interaction is our mojo. Like, me and John, my drummer, I was going to bring him tonight, but I didn't. But crowd interaction is such a big thing for musicians, especially for us. Like, we played Outlaws and Ames last night. You can't play there without having some crowd interaction, because you got to get them going and keep them rocking, and so yeah, dude, that's the most fun. That's another subject to talk about for sure.
Yeah, I mean, It's not always something I've been the best at, I guess. Like I said, my name's not on the marquee, so I don't really have to worry about it quite as much.
Yeah, I gotcha.
But if I'm playing a show with Jesse, I have a microphone in front of my face, so like sometimes he'll ask me questions, and it's like, all right, now I get to chime in here, And,
Yeah.
Otherwise, but I'm just like, I don't do it enough to be good at it, so I can't be the guy that's out there in front, just like
Screaming at people.
yeah, it's like, oh, hey, how's everybody going tonight?
Yeah, dude.
I some of it's also self-conscious. They're like, what's that guitar player that I don't know his name talking about? Like, why is he talking to So
Yeah.
there's some of that too, where like they came to watch Jesse or they came to see you or whatever. They'll probably react a little better if you're the one talking to them.
Well, it's just, I don't know. And that's the other thing, like when it comes to the bar, like working with the bar and the relationship, it's if you can be a good crowd interactor, the bars are going to want you back because their crowd's happy. They're buying beer, We'll do toasts. We'll say hell yeah 14 times, which is, I do it way too much. I have a bad habit. Sorry if you've seen a show, I say hell yeah like 40 times. Can I get a hell yeah, But like just little things, anything you can do to just have fun with the crowd, It's super important, dude. So.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely something when you feel like the person on stage is having fun with the people that are in the room with them,
Yeah, for sure.
Let's say like, I'll just say this, like I play a band with a band down in Des Moines. I play with a punk band down there, Three Finger Betty. We played a show. Let's just say the sound was very rough sounding, and there was a lot of feedback. And I just basically stood there like I was over the situation the whole time. Which, whatever, I should have just powered through it and had fun. Because when I got done, someone was just like, are you okay? And I'm like, yeah. And they're like, I don't know, you just didn't seem happy up there. And it was like, oh, somebody noticed that more than they noticed any of the music we played.
Yep.
And it was instantaneous. I'm hauling my guitar off stage, and someone's like, "Are you okay?" Like,
that's the big thing.
They notice. I mean, everybody does.
You have to. You 100% have to like just put on the face. Like last night, we're playing at Outlaws, and there was, I can't remember what it was, but I was sick and I wasn't singing the part the way I usually would, and I didn't get the crowd on this one spot of this one song where I usually would, so I kind of acted like a little wuss for a second up there, like, come on. But then I'm like, nope, got to snap back into it,
Yeah. I mean, it's I don't know. It's just one of those things. I feel like so much of music is you don't realize what you have to do until you realize you made the mistake.
Yeah.
And then you're like, everything's a learning opportunity.
Oh, dude. It's you learn every night, man. Yeah. It's literally like, it's hard to leave a show without, like, every night I'm like, how did this sound? How was this? Well, did we do this right or wrong? Or like, it's a lot of learning,
Yeah, it just makes me think about going back to what we were talking about originally. So you got like, you had to learn how to write music and play a guitar first and foremost to even get out there. And then when you get there, it's like, well, now I have to be a businessman. I have to be an entertainer, not just a musician.
Yep.
And like you said, you have to do the marketing. So you're putting on like 5 or 6 different hats just to play a show in a place.
Yes. Yeah, dude. And it's like, and then you have to sit around after the show, clean your stuff up.
Oh,
so you got to have like that ability, like, which is nothing, but not be lazy.
Well,
like,
be organized.
Be organized, which I struggle with a lot. So, like, you should see my Tahoe. It's just stuff in there, man. But yeah, it's dude, you wear a lot of hats as a musician. And it's fun though. Like, that's the fun of it. Like, you get to do. Who can say they get to go sit in a bar and play music for people that are drinking and having it? It's just a cool thing to say you can do, right?
You got paid to go to a bar on Friday night,
right?
Not everybody gets paid to go to bars.
No. Usually the opposite is the case. You know? So
very much so. I've been there, done that. Very much
man.
So who's some of like your biggest inspiration, like to even start playing guitar? Was it something that you picked up when you were really young, or was it something where you're like, one of my, my sister's boyfriend does it, or something? Like, what exactly was it that kind of got you started?
Honestly, I was laying in bed playing Guitar Hero, and my dad, like, I was in 7th grade. My dad walks by and he's like, "Why don't you get a real guitar, pussy?" or something like that. I'm like, good point, And so there was this class in my school. It was like I don't know, what do you call it, fine arts or whatever. Yeah. They teach you guitar.
Oh, cool.
But the guy who taught us guitar was learning guitar with us. So like he wasn't a guitar teacher. He was literally learning alongside of us.
Yeah.
So I learned like 2 chords, and then I did YouTube, and then from there it was like John Mayer, Jason Mraz, Jack Johnson, just watching, not country, honestly.
It was wild.
John Mayer, and I don't play like him anymore. I used to play a lot more finger style. Now I play just, just get up there and play chords. But John Mayer, like, that dude's a wizard,
Oh, yeah.
Incredible. And people think he's a pop artist, and they're wrong. Anyway, he's just insane.
He gets a lot of flack.
Oh, it's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
I mean, some of it's kind of justified to an extent. I mean, oh, he dated Jennifer Aniston, boo, or like you'd like to date Jennifer Aniston too.
Oh my God, dude.
Cut the guy some slack.
He's he's probably one of the greatest like guitar player. Like everybody says that about him. He's incredible, man. So.
Do you remember when he was on Chappelle's show? Did you ever see that episode?
I might have, maybe, if you remind me.
Go look it up. He basically brings John Mayer with to see how different people interact with different types of music, and he's playing like heavy metal in an office building, and people are like smashing printers and stuff. And he like tries to take it to like let's just say like an inner city barber shop. And he starts playing like heavy metal, and they're just like, "Shut the fuck up, man! Like, what the hell's wrong?"
I think I might have seen that.
It's pretty funny. Yeah, he's very talented. I mean, if you go look at all the different styles he plays.
Oh my God, on guitar, dude! Like and he's played with legends, man. He's played with all the legends. Oh, dude.
Yeah.
Oh, dude. He's the man. But yeah, that was my inspiration. And just YouTube, like. I think when I was coming up was like right in the heart of the beginnings of like YouTube being a big thing, right? So like this is when like Justin Bieber was getting big on YouTube and stuff. So I'm watching all of his stuff too. Like I'm not a Bieber fan anymore, but like it was cool to like watch that happen and all these YouTube people getting popular just from playing music on YouTube.
Yeah.
So like I was just posting videos and learning and just having fun with it in high school. And then I kind of just kept playing, and don't get me wrong, I am not a great guitar player. I just play acoustic guitar, rhythm guitar. I don't go that crazy. My left hand is not good. My right hand is just rhythm, you know. But yeah, man, just man, my dad challenged me one day and it worked out. So,
dude, the funniest thing about Guitar Hero. So like I kind of have the same story as you, where I played for a while, then I didn't play, and then I really kind of started hitting it, you know. So like that was something where it's like by the time Guitar Hero came out, I had already played guitar. Oh, there goes a train.
Yeah, train.
So by the time I had played Guitar Hero, I had already played guitar for like 3 or 4 years. But I was kind of like done playing guitar at that point in time. But then I got so good at Guitar Hero that I'm playing like everything on expert and stuff.
Yeah. Through the Fire and Flames.
Dude, I could almost get through the song on expert. Like almost, which is like, why? Why are you this good at a plastic video game guitar-shaped thing?
But you can't, but you're not playing the other one as much.
Bingo. And I had so many people like, you should just play the real guitar if you're this good at Guitar Hero. And it's like, you know what? You're probably right.
Yep.
And, I went that route, and I started playing guitar. And like the ironic thing about that was like I got really, really good at playing DJ Hero. Do you ever remember that game?
I do. I remember all of them, dude. Band. What was it? Rock Band.
Rock Band. Yeah. I played a lot of DJ Hero to the point where it's like I want to get a DJ set up, and I.
That's more translatable, I bet. That one was
a little bit, yeah,
like slightly.
Yeah, I mean the faders worked and everything. Like
that's cool
to an extent, like they would in real life, and that was something where like I bought turntables and realized how difficult it is with analog stuff to actually like. Oh, this has to be the right speed as this one, and then the pitches are going to shift, so you're going to have maybe the keys aren't going to be right at that point. So you end up with these weird things where like it's got to be just right. But when I finally picked up like a digital one and like sat at a digital one, it was like, oh, I can just go into a computer and tell it what parameters I want it to set.
Yeah,
and it does it all for me, and I don't have to worry as much about it.
That's crazy, man.
It ended up making it a little bit easier, you know?
Dude. That whole world, the DJing world. I have a lot of friends like in Des Moines that were DJs and stuff, and everybody's like, oh, it takes no talent, and that's the furthest thing from the truth. DJing is hard.
To be a good one?
Yes.
It's very hard.
DJing is not easy at all. It takes more than just having a personality. It depends on, because there's so many different there's so many different types of DJing. There's wedding DJing. There's the EDM. There's everything. There's literally anything you can think of. And so like, dude, shout out DJs. You guys are crazy, all of you.
Yeah.
You know?
I think the one that like really got me was watching like active DJs. So there's like what is it? I think it's Mosaic is the name of the DJ. He got really popular on YouTube for a while. Has like, you know, videos with millions of views and stuff. But he's using like an 8x8 board, and he's making the whole song as he goes, adding
doing
the
whole
stuff in,
thing.
adding it all in. That's different than the guy that has the MacBook with the USB flash drive.
Yeah.
You know, like I was one of those guys that like walk up on stage, and they like just hold the flash drive up and slam it in the computer and hit the space bar, and they just go like this.
Go
the
crazy.
Whole time.
Yeah.
It's like I want to talk down on that guy, but at the same time, like he's entertaining everyone, and they're all having
There's
fun.
something to that, man.
Yeah, he still had to make the music and put it on the thing. So
100%, and you know, has to have that charisma on the mic.
Bingo.
And so, dude, if you can combine, there's so many things. Like, then there's those dudes just making these crazy beats and dubstep, all these different things. Like, DJs are crazy, man.
Yeah,
crazy.
it's wild. Like just tinkering with like a drum machine. Like when you talk about making beats, it's just like, oh, you can slice it up this way and you can slice it up that way. And like there's a couple of like guys that make like rap music here in town that are pretty, I don't want to say like prolific, but they're like easily the biggest people making rap here in Fort Dodge.
Fort Dodge, yeah.
It's Late Street, you know, and I know that like one of them's got a kid, and even his kid is just kind of tinkering around with the drum machine. It's like the kid's like 10 or something.
Just getting it.
Yeah, and it's like, are you serious? Like,
Yeah.
this is so good, you know? And you wouldn't think something like that would just come out of a drum machine and be that awesome, but I wouldn't be surprised if, you know, he's making real actual beats that people are using by the time he's out of high school. You know?
Oh, dude, these days, kids, man, the beats they're making now, I've seen kids on TikTok doing DJ and stuff. I'm like, kids are wicked, man. I can't believe it. Like sampling stuff, throwing in samples and mixing them. I'm like, dude, I don't know the first thing about all that stuff, you know? I don't have my own recording studio either, so I don't know how to use any of that software.
Oh, really?
I have no clue. I have literally, dude, I'm going somewhere for all that. I don't have any idea how any of it works.
Well, I mean, at least that's one thing that's off of your docket of things to learn and do.
Yeah.
Plus, I will say this, like, you can probably get away with being 75% good at social media, but if you're 75% good at recording something, someone's going to notice the 25% that's missing.
Dude.
They probably won't notice the social media post.
No, yeah.
But they'll notice when they listen to it on Spotify.
Well, but just like anything, if you're going to do that, you got to start somewhere. So, yeah, you might notice it at first, but if you do it 3-4 years, maybe you get, you know, to that point. Like my early social media posts, oh boy, they're kind of bad looking, dude. Like it's just my face or like me with a guitar and like August 9th, 1 to 5 or whatever. Yeah. And then it just looks so stupid, you know.
Yeah.
But,
well, like you said, some of it just comes down to like, I mean, here comes the foul language, but just going out there and doing the damn thing.
Oh,
you know, there's so many people that are like, they'll make an excuse as to why they didn't do the thing.
Yep.
You know, but
just got to do it.
Basically, I feel like if you're just out there doing it, you're miles ahead of somebody who could be more talented that's not doing it, you know?
It's all about doing it, man. Like, do it. Don't be afraid to do it. If you are afraid, have a shot. No, I'm kidding. But if you are afraid, like, you know, just get out. The first time you do it, and then the second time it's easier, and then the third, and then 150th it's much easier, you know. So that's the thing for anybody young, aspiring, trying to do it. That's it. That's all. That's the only answer. Do it, and then if you get discouraged, keep doing it, even if you're discouraged. Like, dude, I get discouraged every day about a show that we thought was not as good as we thought. But you have to wake up the next day, put one foot in front of the other, and just keep moving. You know, it sounds cheesy and cliche, but like with music especially, the numero uno is, even if you stumble, like just keep moving forward.
Yeah, I mean,
keep moving forward, learn, you know, keep moving forward.
Yeah, some of that is literally just, like you said, you got to go out and just, the next day is going to come and you got to keep going. You almost have to learn how to have like some thick skin, just in case.
Short memory.
Especially with like art, because there's so many times that like I've been, and I hate this term, but I've been like butthurt. You know, I've been like, somebody just maybe said something that was like, this is a compliment, but it's kind of wrapped up not quite like a compliment.
Yes.
And I just take it so personally, and I know I shouldn't.
Yeah.
But it just like hurts my feelings. And it's like, this shouldn't hurt your feelings, because there's like points in times in my life where it's just like, I think to myself, well, I'm out here doing it, and whoever's said something is not out here doing it. So like, why don't they just, if they're that good, just they can go out and do it. They'll go do it their way, and then they'll be happy.
Yeah,
you know?
But some of it too, you listen to it and you take it in, and like that's why it shows. I'm bad about it. Like I'm always, I'm always out in the crowd. Hey, how's this? To the people that I know what it sounds like, have been to our shows. How's this sound? How's that sound? And it's not because I like am freaking out. It's because, hey, we want to make sure it sounds right, you know. So it's man, it's a learning experience. That's for sure.
For sure. So, like, what are some of the biggest challenges? Like, let's say, you know, like you said, 2017-ish was when you first kind of started. Maybe some of your social media posts, your flyers weren't the greatest, or you're just kind of learning stuff. What were some of the biggest challenges and hurdles to, like, overcome to get to where you're at today?
Honestly, a lot of the same hurdles that I'm going through today are the same that I went through then, just on a smaller level. So, like, now there's certain gigs that I'm trying to get that I can't quite get yet because I haven't established the presence in whatever that area is, or you know what I mean. Like I can't go play a rodeo in Wisconsin right now because they don't know who I am.
Yep.
And so when I was first starting out, I couldn't go play at, let's say, Amigos in Fort Dodge because they didn't know who I was, and I didn't have any established anything. So it's kind of the same problems you face the whole time, just on a different level about different things. So, early on, you can't play this gig because they don't know you, or because you don't have anything online, or you can't play this song because you can't play it on guitar. Well, before I couldn't play, and now recently, until I got a drummer, I couldn't play these songs because I didn't have a drummer yet. And now I've got a drummer, and so just little things like that. I think the biggest challenges are just little steps, like the little steps that seem like they're going to take forever, but if you just keep cutting away at the little things, eventually you build this castle, right? But so the biggest challenge is probably number one is not being able to see like that you're actually building the castle.
Yep.
You're building something. And that's the biggest thing. You just can't see it yet. So just having faith, I think, making sure you're like, we're going to get there, and then, number two is just going to these small towns when you're younger in 2018 or 2019 and playing for 5 people at a bar. That's another big challenge, and a lot of us face it, and you're sitting there, you're like, oh, it's gonna be a gig tonight, we're going, you show up, there's literally 5 people showing up at the bar, right? So that's where the motivation and promotion on Facebook comes from. But so finding ways to get people to shows, that's everybody's biggest challenge.
Yeah, I play shows with Jesse, and Jesse, he could fill up a bar, and Clear Lake to, all the way down to Brick and Ivy in Des Moines. We're talking anything on the north half of, Iowa, basically.
Yeah.
He can do a pretty good job of it, all the way over to, the West End over in Alton and things like that.
Yeah.
But every now and then there's a show where it's like you said, there's 15 people here. So, let me ask you this. What's your motivation to keep going, even though those shows do sometimes happen?
Because you've had the great ones, that's the motivation is when's the next great one going to happen? And also, even those small ones can be great. Like, I've had shows, we played a show recently where it was because in Des Moines, every time we play, just like if Jesse or Scott or any of them play here in Fort Dodge, it's going to be packed because that's where I'm from, right?
Yeah.
So it's packed. But you get to Northeast Iowa,
yep,
where nobody knows you, and you're playing this random bar, and I did a good job of promoting, but they didn't. So it's like, here we go, right?
Yep.
And so I think there might have been 30 people the entire night in a pretty good-sized bar, right? But it was one of my favorite. It was so fun. Everybody was engaged the whole time. Everybody was with us. Everybody was partying. And I looked at my drummer, and he's like, I'm like, dude, I had fun. It was a great show, right? So.
Yeah. That actually exactly what you said when I was thinking about the show with Jesse recently, where there was maybe 20 people in the bar.
Can I borrow your water?
This one here? Yeah, go for it.
I'm just trying to hydrate, man.
Chug it, man.
Thank
you. I got
Sorry
another one
that.
here. No, don't worry about it. So, that makes me think, when we played at the show, let's say the first half of the show was kind of people have their backs to you. They're doing their thing while you're just basically a jukebox. But then about halfway through the show, that's when, the last 10 people came in, and those people were there to party and have a good time. And that was, like you said, there's only 20 people in here, but half the people are so engaged that now it's fun.
Yeah.
And those are some of the things where you look for in a show where it's like, I don't care how many people are here, as long as somebody's having fun.
Exactly.
Now I get to have fun.
I think early on, when I was younger, Lee Klett told me something, and it helped. It's like, dude, as long as you got one table that's fully with you at some of those smaller ones, you're good. You know? And then you'll get the rest too, usually. And as you get better and better, you get everybody involved. But, you're always going to have those nights. Yep. It's always going to happen. Dude, I played Woolies one time as an opener at Woolies in Des Moines, and it was dead. And the touring band that was like a national act had maybe 100 people at their Woolly show, probably less than that.
Yeah.
And so, it happens to everybody. It's how it goes, man. And especially when you get into selling tickets and stuff, you got to start worrying about that, which is the next step, which we're trying to do now. But yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, man.
Yeah, there's a lot of different levels. Like you said, a show where you're playing in a bar is a lot different than a show where you have to go to a venue and sell tickets because it's a music venue.
Dude, it's and that's the challenge, and we're just now starting to get into those. And we sold a bunch of tickets for the show we're playing tomorrow in Des Moines. It's for the Holiday Hoedown, actually, at the 4-H building at the Iowa State Fairgrounds. But selling tickets for that has been it's been easier because we have a lot of people on our side, so it's kind of a team.
Yep.
But dude, it's still hard. You're still pushing. I paid for a Facebook promotion for it. It's just pushing every day to sell if you could sell 20 more tickets this day, that's a win. Just keep selling tickets. You know? So
what about some of like the most, now that we've talked about some of the like the more difficult things or some of the tougher things, like what's been some of the most rewarding things that you've seen or been a part of since playing music? Maybe not even shows, but shows definitely included, because those big shows, we deserve to brag a little bit about the big shows.
Well, the big shows obviously are great, and those are always going to be great, and that's always the goal, to get those shows. But the most rewarding thing has been the connections, like getting to know Scott and Tank, all these guys up here in Fort Dodge, who I never would have known if I hadn't been able to branch out and meet these guys, because I'm from the Des Moines area, right? And the connections I made there, like my buddy Benton Taylor, he's a good buddy of mine, and just all these dudes. Sean, my other friend who comes to all of my shows, Cowboy Bob. If you've ever met Cowboy Bob before, he's a legend. If you haven't met him, you got to meet him.
All right.
But just it's connections. That's the most rewarding thing, being like, okay, I've built a music family. And then like the followers that we have coming to a lot of our shows in Des Moines, not only are they like fans, but they're friends, you see them, hey dude, oh my God, how you doing? Like that is the most rewarding thing, without a doubt. Like, oh my God, these people literally are coming, they're our friends, but they come to watch us play music. Like, that's the coolest thing ever, right?
Yeah. I mean,
it's amazing.
Like the community that, especially like up here in Fort Dodge, I get it. That's kind of where this podcast is like based out of, sort of. And I brag a lot about it. It's the best in the state. Well, guess what? I think it is the best in the state. There's like literally like
a lot of good musicians.
10 places to play music here in town at least. It's full almost everywhere, no matter who's playing anywhere. And a lot of people come here because it's a hotbed for that kind of stuff.
For live music, yeah.
Yeah, and
it's great.
It's cool to have that community. And this isn't anything against like any musician I met here or down in Des Moines with Three Finger Betty or anything like that. But it's weird how like there can be people that like I wouldn't hang out with this person to watch football on a Sunday with them. But if we have like a guitar in our hand and we're at a show or something like that, I'll hang out with them all day. It's weird how music is this weird like diffuser of drama and things like that. It kind of just, it doesn't matter any of the other stuff. Now, it's so hard for me to describe because, like I said, it's not like I don't like any of these people, but it's just like I wouldn't call them just to hang out with them. But if there's a jam, it's like you get on Facebook, like you going to the jam tonight?
Yeah.
So like,
you coming, dog? Yeah, we'll see you there, man.
Exactly.
Yeah. Like, man, I'll call Scott on a random weekday if I'm thinking of something music oriented. If I have a question, or like I'll call Tank or I'll call whoever. Like, just it's cool to have like friends in the music scene. Like, it's just, that's the most rewarding thing.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure. Yeah.
I mean, and it also helps out with like networking, That's something I never really realized was going to come out of this podcast was like, this is actually going to help me network with people, to some extent, and
100%.
Then I start to realize like, oh, this will help, other musicians, because they could like just walk up to somebody and be like, I saw you on the podcast, and then you already have an in to talk to this person that maybe before you had no reason to ever talk to them, and you've got a little bit of their story. You'd be like, what was that story you were telling about this? And you have like a way to kind of, get in with them, a little bit that you might not have ever had, even if they're across the state and you've never played a show over there, Yep,
100%, man. It's networking and just enjoying the process of like, oh my God, I met this guy last week and you should meet him 100% because he might be able to help you with this or that, or like, dude, and then it just becomes this big spider web, like
you said, they could even help you out, because I mean, I can't count the number of times where like a musician, doesn't matter who it is, it's like bounced an idea off someone else and then all of a sudden a song comes out of it.
Oh dude, 100%. So I actually haven't co-wrote a lot, but I know Scott Kirkhart and Jesse, obviously, and Cody Hicks and all those guys. They've co-written a lot, and I've heard those stories. I need to get more into it.
Yeah. I mean, I'll do that with Jesse. Like, there was one song Jesse wrote where he's just like, let's come up with a chord progression. I was just like, this one's weird. And he's like, I bet I could write a song to it. And he did.
Yeah,
And, it's one of those things where, like, by the time it's all said and done, he pops a capo on it, and it sounds a little bit different. But it's like, that's
cool.
It's cool that you actually turned this into something where, like, I would have never put lyrics to this. But
oh, dude, yeah. It's crazy how that works.
Yeah, somebody else's brain was just like, this is a good idea to go this direction with. It's like, I never would have thought of that, ever.
Dude, and that's how music works, man. Writing a lot of songs, it just comes out of freaking nowhere, random things. You never know. Just like, oh, dude, that sounds cool. Wait a minute, that sounds really cool. Let me throw some words on that, and the next thing you know, that's your song, and you got it out. Right?
Yeah, I mean, it could even be something where you play it, and you're like, I don't know if I like this or not, and then you're like at a show dinking around between songs, playing something, and then somebody's like, what is that? And you're like, oh, I got somebody's attention. Now maybe I'll use that.
Yep, 100%. Dude, it's music is it's a random thing, but it's random, and then you have to put structure. I don't know how to explain music. It's hard to explain, isn't it?
It's an enigma. Music and musicians are 100% an enigma. The joke I like to use is that like musicians rely on timing to make things sound good, but most musicians are never on time to anything.
Oh, dude. No, they are not.
We're gonna meet at this place at this time on this day, and it's just like you show up and 15 minutes later nobody's there, and you're like, what's going on?
Dude, or just like, yeah, I've had to be early to gigs these days. I like being super early to gigs, but I used to be like 30 minutes, I'll be there, I'll set up and be ready to go,
Yep.
But changed after a while because you start having issues and things. You got to be careful with that.
Yeah, if there's like one hang up, you're like, I don't know what's going on here. I remember when...
You start sweating.
Dude, yeah. I mean, Jesse went from an analog mixer to a digital one.
Yeah.
You have to run with a tablet, and when we first started using that at shows, if something went wrong, it was just like, are we going to have to get the analog mixer back out and plug that thing in? Because I know how to run that thing. It's easy to see what's plugged in and what's going on. But if it's digital, you're like, is everything plugged in right? Are we plugged into the right thing? Like, what's not right here? Those one little hang up, you're like, and you start to hit panic button. And
I'm still using analog, dude. Because
I don't blame you,
dude. It sounds good too.
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I mean, showing up ahead of time, that's definitely something. Like, it took a while for the bands I play in to kind of get that, like, I'd rather show up an hour early and have 20 minutes of downtime before you play,
dude. Yes.
Than show up a half an hour early and start 5 minutes late because you're, you're sweating,
100%,
plugging stuff in.
You never ever want to be like, oh my god, I just got here. And first of all, you try to get there 30 minutes like on time, and then it's for some reason you got to stop at the gas station.
Oh,
and then you're like, oh, dude, now we're gonna be late, and we're gonna our capo's gonna break or something. And then you're gonna have to run down the street to the store, or who knows, just so you're like, dude, get there early. We could figure something out at least, right?
Yeah, even if it's a show across town, I think the funniest thing, and it's really not funny, but like me and Jesse were playing a show somewhere, and he's just like, I'll be there an hour early. We'll be here. We'll have plenty of time to set up, and it's like, sounds good. And he's on his way over, literally, to be there an hour early. And it's not a big deal, but driving corner to corner in Fort Dodge is like at least a 10-minute drive one way.
Oh, yeah.
And then you got to turn around and come back. So on the way over, he had like spilled his soda or something like that all over his shirt and pants. And it's like, well, crap, now I got to go back home. So he had to go back home and then come back. And by then you're half an hour ahead of time. Everything still worked ahead. It worked out perfect, but it's still just like, man, that's, had he decided to come over a half an hour before the show and spilled something on his pants, he would have had 10-minute setup. It's not going to happen,
dude. That's the thing. That's happened to me before on the way to shows. And then if you're there early, at least you can run to Walgreens or Target, or like, I got to grab pants, or I got to grab a shirt.
Yep.
I got to have something, whatever it is. Like, man, there's been some things, like one time my iPad wouldn't charge for some reason, and I have to have lyrics because my brain doesn't work.
Yeah, I'm the same way.
So I used my phone that one night. Just little things like where you have to figure it out. So be early, just like anything else in life, right?
Yeah. I do want to say, like, you were on the radio today up here in Fort Dodge. It's nice to know that the scene here is conducive to bringing in outsiders. I don't want to say like outsiders, but
they're not cliquey.
Yeah.
Yes, and I love that. And that's the coolest thing. Like Tank and Scott, they're like, dude, get up here. Like, come play up here. And the same with Des Moines. Like, we want everybody to play down there. And so I've tried to help Scott. Like, this year he played the state fair, and I helped. And I'm not saying like, I helped Scott, but that kind of stuff, like we help each other out. Like he gives me a gig, I try to get him something. We're always trying to just be friends and like, let's make it work. And that's the coolest part about the Fort Dodge scene. Like, they're like, let's get good musicians no matter who they are, where they're from. Like that jam night, dude, that thing is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, the one at Oh Goodies.
Oh my God. Oh, well, not that one. Well, that one's great. Don't get me wrong.
You're talking about the one up at the second floor of the Eagles?
At the Eagles.
That's insanity.
Dude, that's insanity.
Dude, it's crazy because like I play lead guitar, so like there's usually like 20 lead guitarists there, so you get 3 songs in there max before the next person has to shuffle in.
Oh yeah,
which I'm totally okay with.
Oh dude, there's so much talent there, and like it's crazy because like if I tell people about that in Des Moines, they're like, never heard it. Like they don't know, they have no idea about it. So it's like we got to keep bridging that gap, dude, because the Des Moines scene does have a lot, because there's so many people there. There's a lot of talent there.
Yep.
So we want to keep bridging that gap, bringing people here, bringing people there. Like, yeah, dude, for sure.
I will say, like, the country music scene, I think, in Iowa is the best at doing that. I don't know if it's the Midwest Country Music, that's that organization, that's doing that, or that's kind of helping you guys realize that, there's others out there, or if it's just country music people are more friendly than other ones. It doesn't ever really seem to be too much of a competition between you guys, where like I'm not trying to say like
it's not.
The metal scene though, it's maybe not, but they kind of do seem to be
A little more competition.
a little bit more grindy on each other, and
our thing is like it's a competition, but it's not I guess actually I don't think it is at all. It's really not. It's everybody wants to see everybody else do better, but we're all pushing each other like, oh dude, you see he got that foot pedal, like why don't I want to try that out, like, or like this guy got a drummer, or this guy got this guitar player, dude, I should try that. It's not competition then, it's more so just like building off of each other. And we all know that if one of us succeeds like on a big level, that's amazing. So we're all trying to make sure that happens to somebody. It doesn't matter who it is. Like, we're all just trying to support each other. Like, we want everybody to be great, like truly at our cores, I think. And so like if I see Scott playing that Crater Days.
Awesome. Hey everybody, we're still at Amigos. I just want to let everybody know, make sure you tip your waitresses, your bartenders, everything. Lots of great servers here at Amigos. Thank you.
You're good.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Sorry, guys.
No, that's cool. That's a good plug for Amigos there.
Absolutely. Amigos is the best. Great bartenders, great time. Every time. But, yeah, dude, that's the coolest thing is I think we all know that the goal is to get each of us, one of us, whoever, to succeed in whatever way it is. And so none of us are jealous. It shines through very clearly, like, that no one's jealous. Of course, once in a while, you'll get that, dang, I wish I would have got that gig, or dang it, I wish I would have had that one. But it's healthy. It's not ever bad.
I think there's a lot more understanding with the country guys. So, like, the big one to point out in Fort Dodge would be the Downtown Country Jam. And the selection committee for that is doing a very good job of spreading the love around.
Yeah.
So nobody's ever like, oh, my band didn't get booked. That's crap, because guess what? Next year your band might get booked because they don't book the same bands every single year to open up for these headliners.
That's cool.
So everybody gets a slice of pie, or something like that. Or it makes me think like if Jesse Wilson plays in a place where a Jordan Beem played, it's like, we got to play somewhere where Jordan Beem played. That's actually pretty cool, so like somebody else's clout and popularity only adds to yours as well,
there's just, man, there's so much love in the scene, dude. Like you said, like it's all shared love. It's like, oh my God. And like if I think at first I was looking up to like a few different people, like Tank, looking up to all these guys, and now to be able to play the gigs they're playing and to say that they helped me out, like, they were unselfish, and they were like, dude, however we can help, let us know. It's a beautiful thing, dude. It's so cool. Like, it's amazing, and I'm trying to do that for younger guys and younger artists now, and I think all of us are. Like, it's a pay-it-forward process, and that's how a scene starts. And now we have a real, like, Iowa music scene, and you can feel it. Like, everybody wants everybody else to succeed.
Yeah. So I had heard somebody once say something that was like, if you want to keep your slice of pie the same, well, maybe we just need to have two pies now if there's more people,
Yes,
it doesn't mean we have to only still have one pie and cut it thinner and thinner and thinner.
Yep.
We could bring, there could be another venue, another something, it could add to popularity. And, it's not always about, like you said, it's not always about competition. There is something in there where it's like, I do want to have likes. I want to have people listen to my music. I want them to show up to the shows.
Yep.
But it's not like I'm going to a show just like, God dang it, Jordan Beem, he had more people at this show, and I don't like him now, or something. That doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me.
You might in your own head, though, be like, dang it, you know what? I saw he had more people than me. Like, what can I do better?
Bingo.
What can I do? Like, why is that the case, and how can I help myself?
Yes.
And that's not saying screw him. That's saying, dude, he's awesome. How can I be as cool as that guy?
Bingo.
Yeah.
I feel like that's something that's like a point of contention that's missed so much in, like I said, I've played in metal bands, blues bands, punk bands. I've played in a lot of different styles in a lot of different areas of the state, in a lot of different types of venues. And it's one of those things where you realize, like, like you said, country guys, it's like, how do I get to his level? Whereas some of the other types of music, it was just like, we're better than them.
Yeah.
Why did they get chosen? Where it's like, that's not the right way to look at it for personal growth, And,
yep. It's in the coolest thing about like the Iowa country music scene is when like one of us, like somebody gets to that gig that they wanted, or like plays that show that they wanted, or like they've been trying for that somebody else might have been playing for a long time. Everybody's the first to be like, dude, congrats on the show. Like, congrats on getting that. like Outlaws or congrats on playing that
Yeah.
show, dude. Like you've been trying to get in there for a while. Like you're killing it. Good job, brother. Like stuff like that. you
Yeah,
know?
I mean that's up here. That's exactly like I said. Outlaws. You got your Miss Kitties, like the bigger. I'm gonna say the bigger places, but like
Yeah.
up here, those are like the bigger places. Comparatively to something up here. So like those are things where people up here don't take lightly, and and people down in Des Moines know those are the places, or down in the Ankeny, Des Moines, Ames area. Those
Yeah.
they know the venues that are good, and they're more than willing to basically say like congratulations, like you deserve this.
Yeah, man. Yeah. And the harder you work, the more it pays. I mean, honestly, the harder that you work and the better attitude that you have, the more that it truly pays off. Like, and that's a fact. Like, have a good attitude, wish the best for other people, work in the scene, like be kind, and just hope for the best, man. Have fun with it, enjoy. It's music, dude. That music's fun. Like, that's the best thing about it, dude. We get to freaking play music, man.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Yeah, make
is
a
that?
couple bucks while doing it too. Holy cow!
Yeah.
That's some great advice, honestly, to just end the podcast on.
I'm down. Yeah.
Dude, that's good. I want to say thanks for anybody that's made it this far. Jordan's playing a show in just a little bit, so we're recording before he's even playing a show. This is your vocal warm-ups,
Dude, and I'm sick. I needed
you're
it.
already under the weather.
I needed this, man. Thank you. And I just had my shot of tequila. I should have done a little shout out, but I can't. I'm not drinking whiskey these days, so it's the tequila for me. I'm trying to drink the clear stuff these days, guys.
Yeah,
So
I've been known to drink a little tequila here and there sometimes, but maybe not as much anymore. But
that's all right. No worries,
that's
man.
some good stuff.
To each their own, huh?
He got the good stuff, in case anybody's wondering.
Yes, I did.
Yeah. Well, dude,
But
thank you so much. I
thank
really
you.
appreciate this. I'm going to put all your social media and links down below in the description.
Yeah.
So if anybody isn't following you for whatever reason, it's going to be nice and easy for
And
them to
thank
just
you
scroll
for all
down
you
and
do
it.
for the music scene, man. Appreciate you. How many people have you interviewed?
I don't have a number of like how many people exactly, but this will be like the 232nd episode, I think.
I don't have a number, but this is 232.
Yeah, well, like I've doubled down on a few people.
Oh, gotcha.
So,
Okay.
so like
All right.
Scott's been on like 4 or 5 times, and like so has like Clint Riedel, and Jeremy
Yep.
Ober's been on a couple times.
You mean all the legend, the Fort Dodge Legends guys?
Yeah, basically.
That's cool.
That was somebody mentioned that when I did like the Friendsgiving episode. They're like, "Holy Fort Dodge legends!" Like,
I'm telling
what
you,
are we
dude.
doing with this?
Yep. It's an awesome deal you got going, man. I love it. That's why I hit you up. I'm like, I want to do it.
Yeah.
Come on, man.
Yeah, it was funny because like you and Scott were talking about it at Oh Goodies, and I was just like, "Oh, they're talking about my podcast." Hey,
Yeah.
and I just like walked over like, "Hey, that's me!" Like
Yeah.
you're talking about me. Like, "Hey, what's up?"
You got it, man.
Dude, it's so cool. Well, thank you very much. This is gonna be awesome. I really
Thanks,
appreciate it.
dude.
Good luck
Appreciate
tonight,
you.
man.
Hell, well, I'm gonna get through it, man.
Yeah, yeah. All right, there it is, 232 with Jordan Beem. It's in the bank. I hope you guys like that one. That's a good one. It's good to sit down and talk with him. We talked about one of the things I think in the podcast that kind of struck me was like it's very apparent to a few genres that it seems like they're all about supporting one another, and it does not always seem to be that way in every music scene. So if you are in a music scene that has a lot of support within their community, be very thankful, and if not, then maybe we have to find a way to change that a little bit. So it's definitely something that's always on my mind when I'm playing music, so I guess, if positivity is what you want to draw out of this, that's probably the best thing we can draw out of this, is the fact that the Fort Dodge music scene, as he had mentioned, there's so much going on up here, and it's nice to kind of crack into it. It's also kind of nice, knowing that the country music scene, there's the Midwest Country Music organization that does a lot of networking and things like that. They hold events and things like that. So if you're into country music or you're a country artist, that might be the route to go to find some of the most advantageous avenues to kind of network with people. Otherwise, it's all about support, going to shows, supporting people, giving shout outs to those of you that think, I'm really glad they did this, or this is a great show, you should go check them out, they're my buddy, or just like crashing a show. Sometimes that's a fun thing to do, is just like, I don't have a show this Friday, but so-and-so has one, so I'm going to show up, and we'll see what happens. You never know. I know that at Jesse's shows, sometimes if musicians show up because they don't have a gig, or if their gig is done, it's just like, hey, you want to come up and play one quick song with us? And, we'll do a little swap out on one of the instruments and have somebody come up and sing a song. And it's just kind of fun. That's something that doesn't happen enough, that I feel like the Fort Dodge music area, the scene around here, we're all well enough versed with enough musical styles, and we're open-minded enough to play enough stuff we're very lucky to have that where we're at up here in the Fort Dodge area. So I gotta say thanks again, Jordan Beem. Check him out online. All of his links are down below. Definitely worth going to see him live. I've seen some of the videos and stuff of like when he plays down in Des Moines, Ames, Ankeny area. It's packed. It's usually packed. So if you're going to go to a Jordan Beem show, show up early, find a good parking spot, and just get ready to enjoy yourself, because it's going to be a fun time. Once again, all of his social medias I can find, they're down below. Click follow, like, subscribe, let them know Audible Farm sent you. And share this episode with somebody if you liked it. If you made it this far and you're like, oh, this was a good episode with Jordan, I know somebody that would like it, boom, just hit that share button, let them know. I gotta say thanks to everybody that's been liking and subscribing and sharing the episodes. Subscribing on YouTube is crazy. There just seems to be, every couple of days, a couple new people are subscribing. So thank you very much for doing that. If you haven't yet, make sure you go to the YouTube channel, hit subscribe. I think there's a link down below to the Audible Farm YouTube channel. Just click it and hit subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, thank you. Just go ahead and hit subscribe right there. Otherwise, if you're looking to support Audible Farm in one way or another, you can do it through the Patreon. It's like $1 a month. You can watch video versions of the podcast one day early. I know it's not much, but it's one day early. You get it before everybody else does, and that's a nice way to say thank you. I've always said I'm working on some bonus content. It's tough to drag people away from what they're doing to make bonus content, especially when they're always so willing just to make the regular content with me. So I want to say thanks to all the guests that have made regular content with me. This is 232 episodes of this. That's something Jordan said. I never really thought about it until he had mentioned it at the end of the episode. Wow, 232 episodes. I'm assuming that's at least 200 different musicians that have been on here, if you take out all the doubles or the replay episodes and things like that. So that's wild. Thank you guys very much for supporting Audible Farm, everything we do. Check out all the Audible Farm links down below. Follow us on social media. Invite your friends to follow us on social media. Say, hey, there's this podcast called Audible Farm. You might not know what it is, but they talk about music, and it's cool because I've been on there, or my buddies have been on there, or whatever it happens to be. So check that out as well. Thank you guys very much. Everything you can't find is going to be at audiblefarm.com. So that's where it's at. We'll check you guys next week. All right. Peace.